My roommate said, stop wasting money on video games, get a real hobby. Then he found out my gaming setup was worth more than his car. Jake had been on my case for months about my gaming habits. Every time a package arrived at our apartment, he'd shake his head and make some comment about priorities. Another gaming gadget, Alex? When are you going to grow up and invest in something that actually matters? He'd point to his used BMW in the parking lot like it was some symbol of adult responsibility. That's what real investments look like, not plastic toys and computer parts. What Jake didn't understand was that I wasn't just gaming. I'd been building a streaming setup and competing in esports tournaments for 3 years. My Twitch channel had 45,000 followers, and I was pulling in about $8,000 a month from sponsorships, tournament winnings, and subscriber donations. But Jake saw the RGB lighting under my desk and the multiple monitors and assumed I was just some basement dweller wasting his life. He worked in sales at a furniture store and acted like his $40,000 salary made him financially superior. The breaking point came last Tuesday. I just received a new graphics card that cost $3,200. It was for a sponsored build I was doing with Nvidia, but Jake didn't know that. He saw the box and lost it. This is ridiculous, Alex. You're 26 years old spending thousands on video game equipment while I'm paying most of our rent because you're always short on money. That last part wasn't true. I always paid my half on time, but I lived minimally everywhere else. No expensive clothes, no fancy car, no eating out. Every dollar I wasn't spending on necessities went into upgrading my streaming setup. Jake continued his lecture. Look at my car. That's a $35,000 investment that holds value. Your computer stuff will be worthless in 2 years. I nodded along, not bothering to explain that my setup was insured for $85,000, and most of it was tax-deductible business equipment. Jake wouldn't understand that my rig wasn't just for gaming. It was my office. That weekend, Jake brought his girlfriend Emma over, and she made the mistake of asking about my setup. What does all this equipment do? She asked, genuinely curious. Jake jumped in before I could answer. Alex thinks he's going to be a professional video game player. It's like a 30-year-old believing he's going to be a rock star. Emma looked at the custom water-cooled system, the professional lighting setup, the broadcast mixing board. This looks really expensive and professional. Jake scoffed. Expensive, yes. Professional? It's a hobby that got out of control. That's when my phone buzzed with a notification. Tournament payout had just hit my account. $12,000 for placing second in the weekend championship. I'd been competing remotely from our apartment while Jake was at work. Actually, I said, showing them my banking app, this hobby just paid me more than Jake makes in 3 months. Emma's eyes went wide looking at the deposit. Jake's face went from smug to confused. What is that? Tournament winnings. I also get about $8,000 in monthly sponsorship deals plus subscriber revenue. I pulled up my Twitch dashboard showing my follower count and recent earnings. Jake was staring at the numbers like they were written in a foreign language. You make this much playing video games? I make this much running a gaming business. The equipment you've been making fun of? It's all tax-deductible business expenses. This room is my office. Emma was looking around with new understanding. So this is like a professional studio. Exactly. Jake's been comparing my business equipment to his personal car purchase. Different categories entirely. Jake sat down hard on my gaming chair. You never told me you were making this kind of money. You never asked. You just assumed that because I don't drive a BMW, I must be failing at life. I pulled up my insurance documentation on one of my monitors. This setup is insured for $85,000. Your car is worth maybe $25,000 now with depreciation. Emma looked at Jake. So when you said he was wasting money on toys, he was actually building a 6-figure business while I was lecturing him about financial responsibility. Jake finished quietly. The next morning, Jake knocked on my office door. Look, man, I owe you an apology. I had no idea what you were actually doing in here. I spun around in my chair. The real question is, why did you assume I was failing just because my success doesn't look like yours? Jake thought about that for a moment. I guess I thought traditional jobs were the only way to make real money. I gestured to my setup. Welcome to 2024, where the kid playing video games might be out-earning the guy in the suit. Emma texted me later that day. Jake's been researching gaming careers all morning. I think you opened his eyes to some possibilities he never considered.